Cool.
Yeah.
Hello, we're live. Welcome to the Musty Wargamers Show, Season 8, Episode 14. And we have our usual assortment of crime villains tonight, except for Mr. Evil is not here tonight. Palmer is gone.
Mr. Evil.
He's sitting there with his cat going,
Yeah, we don't know what. Temporarily disposed.
Mr. Blofeld, where's your cat? He sits there with his evil laugh with Mooch.
Mooch is already in it. He's trying to fake me out, and because I always give him like a little snack when I put him down in the laundry room, go to bed at night. He's figured it out now that if I run down there, they bring me something to snack on. So when it's like late in the evening, he's always running down to the laundry room and getting in there and sitting there like, well,
where's my snack?
Where's my snack? And it's like, I'm sorry, but no.
Not quite time for you to snack.
Not time yet.
And Walkabout Games is here.
Hey, Chris.
Howdy ho. Our one guest tonight. Our one watcher. Our watcher on the wall.
Yeah.
Well, how's everybody been up to in the last 2 weeks? Now that Palmer's not here, in case you're watching this and you didn't watch my update video, and Palmer did say he's not going to be here on the last show, so
well,
he's taking care of his daughter, picking her up from college.
Likely stuff.
Oh, well, family stuff does have to take priority. That
I guess, sure.
I understand it. Yeah.
On paper, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yep. I've done that a few times. My daughter, she was lucky enough that she went to college 30 minutes away, and we gave her a car. So it's like, here.
That's nice.
Enjoy.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Was that a tactical maneuver going?
Yeah.
If I don't get a car, then I'm going to have to go back and forth and back and forth.
So this is good for me.
It's a tactical decision.
Yep.
Well, I just remember my years in college. I always enjoyed having a vehicle to escape and do whatever I felt like doing.
Well, plus it saves you the time having to go get them as long as you're responsible.
Yeah.
It's helpful.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
And we got Percy's in the house.
Hey, Percy.
Percy. Good evening. Yeah, that's an interesting thing you have to... Family dynamics that you have to live with.
Get to live with, right?
Yeah. Now, my son, on the other hand, when he said he needed picked up, I had to drive all the way to California to get him.
Where'd he go to school?
Wow.
He went to the U.S. Navy School of Hard Knocks.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. He was attached. He was on the Nimitz.
I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah.
Dang, why did I not know that?
Yeah.
I've met him even, but I didn't know that.
Yeah. He doesn't look like he was in the Navy, but
well,
when he got out of the Navy, he was a skinny kid, and then he found this thing called work and food.
Yeah. Well, and your metabolism slows down, and yeah.
Well,
he was he was in Airedale. He worked on loaded the bombs and all the ordnance on the F-18s.
Oh man!
So he was one of the guys that you see, red shirts that you see up on the deck.
If I could be a kid again, that's what I'd do. Cool.
Well, he got to see a few different places.
Dude, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Well, next time I see him, I would have to ask him about it. That's pretty cool.
All the stories he could probably tell.
Oh, yeah.
And some of them were extremely boring.
Oh, that's life.
One of the things they always complained about when he was in the Navy was that when they were at Lemoore Naval Station out in California. That was his main post. Was of the 6 aircraft they had, they only had 1 operational at one time.
Oh, really?
And you got enough crew to handle, plus a few extra for all the aircraft, and they were all down. So they spent all their time just twiddling their thumbs going, who gets to work on the aircraft today? Who gets the rotation?
Oh, wow.
So every day they rotated who get to work on the one aircraft.
Oh, that's
Otherwise, they were just sitting around sweeping the maintenance bay and sitting around staring at the walls.
Oh my God.
He said this was
Wasn't
so
that
cool.
worse? Wasn't that the worst when you were in the pretend work?
Yeah.
You know, we got to
Busy
think of
work.
something for them to do.
It's something for him to do, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh,
one thing I always liked when we were in the Army, at least, it's like, well, we got nothing to do. Go get a cut B. Let's go. We're going out to the field. We'll just go out and
Shoot some rounds.
walk around and pretend we're doing something just to get the hell out of the cantonment. But when you're in the Navy and your whole job revolves around an aircraft, it's like.
Yeah.
Now, was he trained in the maintenance of the aircraft as well, or was he just trained?
They had, just like any level, you had service level maintenance you had to do.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like when I was in the tanks, most of the stuff was crew level maintenance, but occasionally it was the upper level maintenance had to do something for you. But it was most of the time you're breaking everything yourself and putting it back together.
Breaking everything yourself.
Yeah.
Let's break this so we give us something to do.
Build this back, yeah.
Hey, we need to put new track on. Oh, crap.
I can remember. You'll love this. I remember one time we were heading down to Graf in Germany.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's been raining for weeks, and it's just nothing but a mud hole out there. And we go down the range road, and there's these guys, and they're like waist deep under this track. And it's like, yeah, I'm glad I got the MOS I'm in, because it was cold, they were muddy, and it was like, I was so glad that was my job.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, no.
Oh, thank you.
I will pass on that. Thank you very kindly.
Yeah, one year we were out in the field. It was 10 straight days of rain, and everything was flooded. The whole training area was flooded. You're marching through areas up to your knees at times through water. It was like everybody started getting trench foot, and oh God, it was bad. You get to a dry spot and you take your boots off and you stick your feet in the air, let them dry out, and everything you had was like everybody's socks would be literally. You get your poncho out and you're hovered under your poncho with your socks trying to dry them out. And it's like, why fight it, man? It's like the moment you start going anywhere, you just got soaked again.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like, do I want to take time to dry these out or just stay wet? Let's just stay wet.
Stay wet.
Yeah, pretty soon it was like half the platoon was out with trench foot, man. It's like your feet were rotting.
My goodness.
That sounds awesome.
Oh, yeah. It was great.
It's awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
Where's this? You wore your feet completely off like nubs. Yeah, they kind of fell off.
Hoping they grow back.
But they didn't.
Disappointing.
Chris, let's see. He was on the Nimitz from 2013 to 16.
Not that long ago.
One of my cousins was a Marine on the Nimitz in the 90s. Well, that was before his time. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Marines, people don't realize that the Marines have their own cruise stations, and when they're not doing something, they always have a battle station that they man on ships.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It may be just a small little thing, but they always do something, whatever they fill out.
Huh.
Oh, I remember the pretend work. Yes, life was cool in the pretend work.
I remember one time in the winter, and it was cold, and they go, we're going to, because we had like the M151A1 Jeeps, right? When I first went in, no Humvees, just regular canvas covered
Jeeps.
Yeah, Jeeps.
Old Jeep. And we had like several of the like the little bitty trailers that are hooked to the back of them.
Yeah, I remember those.
And I remember the guy coming in going, we're going to paint trailers today. Outside? And I mean, it's snowing.
No way.
They're going to go. And he says, and we're going to do camouflage. And I'm like,
oh my God. It's like, this could be white camouflage.
It's like, Jesus Christ. No, it was summer camouflage we were doing.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was like, okay.
Guess it doesn't have to make sense, huh?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of that shit don't make sense.
We flew up to Alaska. God, what the name of that airfield we flew into? It's named after a general. The Army winter warfare training facility is like to the south of it. I remember we flew in there. It was dark as hell because it was in wintertime in Alaska. It's dark. So you did all of your training in the dark. So it was cold. You're wearing your winter war gear. You realize how well the military has thought about keeping you warm with the winter war gear.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah. Actually, it was like a lot of wool. You felt like you had layers on you.
Yeah.
But even you had it's like even your rucksack had a white like poncho for it to keep it.
No way.
Cool.
Yeah.
No, that's something I never had to do.
Yeah, they wanted all the officers to run up there and do winter warfare training. Went up there and did that. It's like imagine a whole bunch of lieutenants and captains that were doing this. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you realize the old story about lieutenants getting lost? I was like, oh my God. It's like the number of guys that they're looking at maps and you're just like, because you worked as squads and everybody would have their chance to be like a squad leader and do stuff. And then you'd have somebody that was the squad leader and they're like looking at this map under the poncho, looking for forever. And they come out and they kind of figure out what the hell they're looking at. And then they go look at their compass and they're kind of like, and you kind of crawl up and you're like, need some help? It's like, do you know what you're even looking at?
Not for sure.
That's one thing I did have problems with is reading a map and figuring out where the hell I was going.
Well,
I'll tell you one thing. That is one skill that cannot be oversold.
Yeah,
it's just orientation.
Yeah,
where are you? Where are you in relationship to everything else? And just there's some people, they just couldn't find their ass with a road map.
Yeah, they couldn't find the directions if it was written on their boot.
Yep.
Oh, it's like there were a number of times they'd be sitting there thinking, it's like, you were in a Boy Scout, were you? You never took orientation as a Boy Scout.
I was never a Boy Scout, but we always knew how to know where we were by the sun, the stars. You know, you just Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of like the way we grew up was like, if you outdoors enough,
Yeah,
you
it seems like you could
instinctively
get a
know
sense of it.
north, south, east, and west. You just,
Yeah.
but
You can
you
sense
were you
it.
ever
Yeah.
with somebody that had no idea of the cardinal points of a map or where they were? They had no idea of how to figure it out. It's terrifying.
Yeah. When I went down to Fort Knox, I remember this was from our Army Officer Basic course, where you learned how to be a tank commander and armor officer. And we had to go out and do the land nav course. And Fort Knox is like this, and down this way, and like this, and this way.
It's where I went to basic, baby.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, it's like up and down everywhere. It's like woods
That's
everywhere.
all
And they
down.
NCOs was like, all right, don't get lost. Here's your course, and we're gonna run the course with you, and whoever can beat us, type of thing. There's no one's ever beaten us. And I remember I was like, challenge accepted. So I looked at the map and I was like, oh, there's my points. And they said, all right, everybody go. So they took off, and I was like, all right. And I was like, hit my points and wrote down the coordinates, because each post where you're supposed to go had a number, a
Check-in
letter,
thing.
number
Yeah.
coordination on it. And I was like running through it. It's like I was getting tired though, because we're in Iowa. Do we have hills like this?
Yeah.
So I was getting a little exhausted, going up and down. But a lot of times I was like climb up on the ridge, run the top of the ridge, and then go down where I had to, or try to. It was a little bit longer, but it was a lot easier on the body. And so I got done with it, and I come rolling into the course, and the guy was sitting there waiting, and he beat me probably about maybe 5 minutes, and he was like, "There's no way you got done." And he looked at my number. He's like, "You're right. How the heck did you do that?" I used to teach land nav when I was enlisted.
Yeah.
That helps.
Like, it's not a problem. If I get lost, then we're seriously screwed.
Yeah, right.
All right, so what's everybody up to tonight? Dan, you're in the corner. What you working on?
Big surprise. 15 mil ACW still. Boop, boop, boop.
Let me expand you out here.
I'm down to I don't know if you can see.
You're working on your calf.
Yeah, I'm down to my last 4. I've got them base coated, washed, and now I'm doing the highlights on them, and then the calf will be done.
Are they true 15 mil?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they're Old Glory 15s, true metal 15 mil. And then what's that?
That's what I would. Now I'm not going to bother painting up my Waterloo stuff from Warlord.
The epic stuff.
I've got a whole different method of how I'm going to identify units and stuff. But when I look at those 15 millimeter metals, I think I could paint that. But these like 13 and a half stuff.
Yeah, they're small.
I look at them, I go, is it going to really be worth the time and energy for me at my age and how much time I've got to devote to it and how many miniatures there are? I'm just not going to do it. Now, kudos to those who do, but for me personally, I just don't think I could do that. Now I've been working on these 18s and stuff, and I like that, but when I compare the two and I look at it, I just not thrilled about it. I'm just not enthused about getting involved in painting those little bitty things from Warlord.
So is it the scale or the miniatures?
I think it's the scale. It's the way they're put together on those blocks.
Yeah.
They're
pre-ranked up.
It's like, I think we talked about this a little bit last week. It screams to me like, well, I've got them out on my table out in the big room, and
Mhm.
I rent, they're like 60, they're 60 by 20, right? Per
Yes,
ranked
per
up
little
little
base.
unit. Yeah, on the base.
Yeah.
And you get 4 of them in a box, and plus like for the British, you get like a thing of the 95th rifles, like they're light infantry dudes, and then you get
Yep.
4 stands of regular line infantry.
Hmm.
When I got them blocked up like that, and I have them like 1 wide, 4 deep, all the way across, basically 60 by 80. And I'm looking at them, and it just screams to me like the old um, way they used to do battle reports with the symbols and stuff. Instead of like showing the
Yeah.
minutes, they used to have like a square with an X with heavy
Yeah, like
infantry.
what? Yeah, the White Dwarf would do those. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they did theirs. And like Military History magazine,
Yeah, that's one.
magazine I used to read all the time. That's the way they did theirs. You would have like a legend on the side that would tell you, okay, this is heavy, this is light. You have like
Yep.
little circles for the skirmishers, I look at that. I kind of look at that scale that kind of way.
Hmm.
That they're almost like those 3D. They're like 3D blocks
Yeah.
to identify. And that's the way I kind of look at that. Like I began working on assembling some Normans for my Dark Age project,
Hmm.
late Dark Age. I got 28 millimeter Normans because I tell you what, after putting together both the French and the English, boy, I need to go back to 28 and do some painting and stuff because it's just like mind-numbingly boring putting those things on faces. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
I had 2 starter armies, or starter army for both the French and the English, plus 3 extra boxes of stuff. And by the time I got that done, it covers up one whole side of an 8-foot table, just
Really?
even spaced out with the heavy cav and the artillery. And I got 13, what would they be, battalions? 13 battalions of infantry,
Wow.
and plus
That's a Waterloo starter box?
yeah. Oh, it's got a ton of stuff in it. Plus, like I said, I got extra.
So you're just gonna get rid of it, sell it, or you?
No.
have enough?
We're gonna use it. Like I got a buddy, he's got the ACW stuff.
Okay.
We're gonna play. It's just that I don't think either one of us are very motivated of painting that scale.
Gotcha.
So I've got those little they're like little stands. I forget, where would they be at? I don't know where they're at, but they hold like little cards. And so I'm going to print out like on, you can get blank playing cards.
Hmm.
So on the behind them, I'll just have that set up to say, okay, this is this
Yep.
unit. So basically, I won't paint them up as a specific thing. The card behind the unit will tell what the unit is.
Yeah.
That way we can mix and match and use them for different things if we want
But
to.
you are gonna paint the miniatures, though.
No.
Oh,
I am not.
I didn't know if you're even like just gonna do like a 3-color slop on.
No, I'm not. But no, I got
Gotcha.
so much 28 millimeter to paint that I really will enjoy. That
I
to me,
understand.
They are
that was
colored,
pretty
aren't
much
they?
like a job, huh?
The plastics already have color, right? Like,
Yeah, the English are red and the French are blue.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, fair enough. It'd be quite an undertaking, even if you loved it.
It would be quite the undertaking, and I'm just not. I want to play the time period, but I'm not as invested in it like some people.
Yep.
And so
That's fair.
I like the Dark Ages. I like the Renaissance and up into the 1600s and stuff, up to the American Civil War, and then my passion for it dies out for actually wargaming. Or like now I'd like to do World War One maybe.
Yeah, then it does intrigue me.
I just love the tanks. I love World War One tanks because they're just so funky looking. Now that would be interesting to me. Late war stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. That would be fun.
Yeah, the only problem I have is like in the western and southern front, like in Italy and Austria,
Yeah.
between Germany and France and British, it was so stagnant. It's like
Yeah.
over the
Yeah.
top and die type of thing.
Over the top and die. Yeah.
But the only
Sorry.
place they had any sort of maneuvering happening, even though it was a lot of maneuvering, that was on the Eastern Front. But
Yeah.
I picked up the Games Workshop from their historical series. They used to have the Great War Rules set off eBay pretty cheap a year ago. That's about the only thing I would potentially delve into. It's sort of a bolt action scale game, 28 millimeter, but it looks interesting.
yeah,
So that's something you could realistically paint that up. 60 miniatures maybe on the side or so.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it would be fun, like to do that a little bit, but I don't know how. I would see myself getting carried away with that one though. I could
Yeah.
just see, building the table with all the trenches in it and stuff.
I know, and the craters and the barbed wire and mud.
The off-table artillery
demons
and those big World War I tanks.
Yeah, even if you just had one wrecked on the battlefield or something.
Yeah, I just like that. It's just so, I don't know. It just seemed like a bizarre time.
It's almost like futuristic even yet. It's like apocalyptic compared to World War II even. And they had the gas masks and the it was just no man's land was like on the planet Mars or something. It's just surreal.
It had just been cratered so many times and stuff. Yeah. And I think the models would be pretty cool and fairly easy to paint. There wasn't a lot of camouflage. It was like big gray great coats or green great coats and
Wargames Atlantic has plastic minis for it. Would be cheap, or there's some good metal ranges out there too.
Yeah.
I
think that would be kind of fun to do. Just kind of
crosses my mind. Yeah. I hear you.
Then you get the big artillery pieces; they'd be pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
all that. Just those great big mortars, Lord. They have like 280 millimeter mortars or something. They were just massive.
They hit the trench line, and there goes 30 guys in bits and
pieces.
Did
you ever see that picture that they took of like a line of French infantry? They were on all that was left of them were their rifles with the bayonets above dirt. They had just been covered and smothered in dirt, and oh my God, it's like I looked at it and I thought, did they stage that? But what had happened is they
gave the trench in or something.
Yeah, they were in the trenches and they just got buried.
Yeah, shell land right in front of him or behind him, and it just pushed the dirt.
Yeah, the whole thing just caved in on them, and all that was left was a few bayonets where the rifles were up over the edge of the trench. Could have been where they were trying to get out or something, but it was just to me that was one of the most horrific photos, and it didn't really show anything, but the idea of being buried under that dirt,
pretty chilling.
If you those old films were those explosions of those great big mortars and stuff. Wow, that's a lot.
Kind of makes the term shell shock actually mean something. I mean, I've watched some documentaries on that, and even the effects of shell shock and oh my God, what? And the crazy thing is after that, in like 20 years, they said, let's do that again.
Yeah.
We didn't do it good enough the first time.
Yeah. There's still some living things on the European continent. Let's get after it.
I just remember my great-grandfather was a Marine in France, and he got gassed. So to the day he died, he had problems breathing from it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good grief.
So
Oh, I'll just finish up my thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been painting that. I haven't got too much done in the last 2 weeks on that just because of doing some farming now. But I was going to see if I can grab it. I've got do it without spilling it. Here we are. If you want to make me bigger, this is I don't know if I can tip it enough to see. This is what I've got painted so far.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've got on each side there's 4. Yeah, you can kind of see there's 4 regiments of 24 each infantry. Down the middle, I've got some artillery. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 artillery pieces, and then I've got 4 stands of the 8 cavalry stands there done. And then, thanks. Finally, this morning I primed up my next, the dismounted cavalry, and so then I'll be starting on those before long. And then I've got you won't be able to see it because they're unprimed, but through Old Glory 15s, I got horse holders, and they're actually battle honors, is what they are. So they're not actually Old Glories, but they're match exactly. I don't know actually the history of battle honors, how that fits into sculpting manufacturers and sculptors, but they match exceedingly well. And so I got to do some horse holders because you use those in Fire and Fury. Okay. And then I guess I do have a pack of casualties that you use for, I forget what the term is, whether it's disruption or disorder or something. So you use those as markers instead of tokens. So I need just one of each for each regiment at the most. And then I'll paint up a little bit more infantry. I'd like to do another 4 regiments. And then I think I would be at a stopping point on this project for now. I'm itching to actually paint some Bretonnian Knights, believe it or not. Oh, and then the other thing I did do was, not this last Sunday, but the Sunday before, Mark and I, the guy that lives about 20 minutes from me here, we got together and got another game of Bolt Action in. So it's the second game of 3rd edition Bolt Action. We played on the same table the way I had it set up, and we kept our same lists just because the first game we were just kind of getting a handle of the rule changes, and then so then the second game we thought, well, we had a better handle on that but both games I kind of got the upper hand on it. I don't know. I don't think we've quite figured the nuances of 3rd edition yet. And I'm hesitant to say it, but I don't know if I like it as well as 2nd edition, which I'm still not gonna like staunchly say that. I do need to play some more games, and we're gonna change our lists up next time we play. But yeah, I've got some issues with it at this point, so we'll see.
Did you get those from Old Glory, your horse holders?
Yeah, yep. And it's yeah. This is what it was. BACW 14. And yeah, it's from the 19th century miniatures, which is Old Glory 15s. I had to kind of search around for them because I'm like, and I don't remember how I stumbled across them. And I almost think in the listing they called it for, I don't even think they said ACW, but it said something. There's another, what would have been more in that time period, some other confrontation, but
like
anyway.
Holders for on the Western Plain?
Yeah, I don't remember. I can't remember because I got these back. This was that order that I made like the 2nd of January, right the day before his Christmas sale ended. And somewhere right in there I ordered them. So I can't remember where I found them on the website, but I remember looking all over to find them. But they are perfect. So if you need some, that's a good place to get them. Or if you wait till his July, usually July seems like when he has the sale
And June,
on the,
July has another sale.
yeah, there's usually one for the ACW and the AWI stuff is usually then, since the 4th of July and stuff in there, I think. But yeah, so I got to paint up for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, for the amount of stands that I have, I need 2 stands of horse holders, and the way they say to model them in the Fire and Fury book is 2 or 3 horses and 1 holder on a circular base. Can't remember the size. I'm going to use a washer, a metal washer, and so that won't take long to do. I'm going to put 3 on because there's plenty of horses in the pack, and it looks cooler. But there's like 4 or 5 poses of horses, and quite a few poses of guys in that one pack. So it's just, yeah, and that's what's made this fun, and that's why I'm not sure if I could totally.
Does that have the number on it?
Yeah, I'm holding up the screen. BACW 14 is what you want to search.
Okay.
That's what I think I've said it multiple times, but that's what keeps me engaged in this is the variety of poses of the miniatures. Like the cavalry, there's like 3 or 4 horse poses even, and there's every single one of the guys I think is different that I've painted out of what 16. So that's why I don't know if I could totally get into the epic warlord stuff. For me, I think it would get just super monotonous before I was done. And it's a cool look, and the people that can do it, it's awesome. I mean, I like it. It's just I don't know if I could push through it. This keeps it interesting.
Really does for me that way. As I look at it, I'm just.
Yeah, and I think it's that too, Tim. And also then it goes back to what you were saying, where you feel like it's just a marker because they're like, unless you paint them like different cuffs and try to or do some your own things to make them different, that's basically the same guy. And it's the same for ACW. The Confederates and the Union troops are the exact same sprue as far as just infantry. It's just how you paint them. Well, that's fair enough because they wore the similar stuff, unless you go for the ragtag look of the Confederates. But ultimately that's fair. But at the same time, I just think it would be like, oh my gosh, after you lose impetus pretty fast. I would. So and some people have gotten really creative with doing some customizations, cutting hands and heads and trimming hats, and that's cool too. But this was just, and I'm old school. I do like metal. I don't know why. I just do. I like plastic too, but something about the metal is cool.
I agree.
So that was kind of me, yeah. So I did get the bolt action game in, and we had to always have a good time. But I'm not sold on the 3rd edition, but I feel like I'm in the minority. I don't hear a lot of complaints about it, so I don't know. We'll see.
All right. I typed in horse holder, and it came up generic horse holders and horses. Okay,
is that what it was? Just generic? That could have been it.
Yeah, and I typed in the SKU number, and it said nothing found. But I typed in horse holder, and it said BACW 14.
Okay, there you go.
All right, so
they're exactly what you want. They're cool.
Yeah, I'd never seen them in the listing.
Well, and I didn't. I remember I just started looking through. I think I even typed in horse holders, and finally I found them, and they weren't under the ACW, so I was a little nervous. But I was zooming in on the picture, and I'm like, boy, they sure. The one even has like a kepi. I'm like, it looks like it should work.
It's got a kepi and a regular.
Yep.
Hat.
Just whatever you want to call it, a flop hat or civilian hat or
cavalry hat.
In the stuff that's on the horses, as far as the saddle and the pack and stuff, is all perfect for it. So, not sure why they have it sorted out that way, but I was glad I found them.
Yeah, so I gotta make another order sometime where I'm going to to fill out enough. I probably need 4 more packs of Union troops to get to the, because I want to have enough to do a very large battle.
How many bases of actual infantry are you thinking you want to have? Not command, but infantry.
Right now, I think I have 120 stands.
Oh, okay. Well, you're ahead of me.
Of just the Union.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't even touched I think I got 6 packs for my Confederates. There's still nothing done with them.
Yeah, I've got a couple in open packs. So I got what I need here. I just need to, get it painting. Oh, I guess I got distracted by an old tractor too. So I've been, I've got a neighbor 2 miles away. He was tearing a shed down, and he had an old 1956 Farmall F400, Farmall 400 that he said it's probably been at least 15 years since it ran, but he wanted to tear the shed down, so he was going to pull it outside. He said, "You want to do something with that?" And I said, "Oh yeah." So it followed me home one Sunday afternoon.
Come on, boy.
And
my wife followed you like a stray cat or something.
It was about that pitiful. My wife took pity and said I could keep it, so as long as I kept it in the machine shed. But he said, "Hey," I said, "Well, what's it worth?" And he just said, "Well," he's a friend and a neighbor, and he said, "You know what? See if you can get it running, see what kind of money it takes." And he said, "We'll just work out a fair price after that." And so last Saturday, it was too wet to be in the field. So in the afternoon, I got messing with it. I got the freaking thing to run. So, but I've got it. Well, and it's not, I haven't picked a price yet, but it's not there. It's pretty affordable, but, I've got my seed corn all stacked in front of it, so I can't drive it around to see like how the clutch is and the gears and some of that. But I was pretty excited to get that going. So that took a little bit of miniature painting time, but you gotta spread the love, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's me. I'll shut up.
Well, all you did was add to my things I need to purchase.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I want to buy another pack of artillery. I need to get some more Union cavalry.
Cavalry.
Yeah. I think I got 4 generals now, so I think that's probably more than enough.
Well, you need like a brigade commanders and then an overall general, don't you? Or you at least need brigade commanders. I can't remember.
Well, I guess we have to look at the scenarios, but typically you're going to have a overall brigade commander. You'll have probably an average battle might have 3 or 4 commanders.
That's what I would say. 3 to 4 probably for the most of them that we would play out of the rule book. I think I've got nearly enough cav and artillery. It's just I need more infantry stands.
Yeah.
So I'll get back on that once I get the cav done.
Well, in the last order that I did with those guys, I ordered more Confederate stuff, but I did order 2 marching Union packs. And after that's what's sitting here on the table now that I'm painting. Which were, what ones were these? ACW 21. Got 2 of those.
Yep.
So that's Union marching, I think it is.
Yeah, marching and charging are your 2 choices, other than specialty brigade or regiments.
Yeah, they got the full pack and everything on them, and they got the rifles at the ready as they're marching forward.
Nice.
So these are actually fairly easy to paint it's when they got them on their shoulder. You're sitting there looking at them. You're trying to
figure out what's what.
Yeah, it's like, which way do they have that rifle?
Yeah.
Is it
which side's the barrel on? That's the problem I have.
It's like drive you nuts.
But it's funny, the detail. I don't know how old the sculpts these are, but they're really, other than once in a while you're trying to decide if that's a pack or a canteen or a pouch or what it is, because I'm not really good on my detailing of uniforms of the Civil War, but they're really animated poses for the most part, and they're really deep relief, like washes and dry brushing really
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you get to those small scales and they don't over exaggerate the folds in the material and stuff. So by the time you get to that scale, it's pretty flat. But these just, oh my gosh, they're just the detail and the depth of the sculpting is really makes them fun to paint.
Now, pretty much what I did with these guys to get the canteens and everything was that I painted all the details on them black, and then I dry brushed with some ash and gray.
Mm-hmm.
So then I could say, oh yeah, I can see that's a canteen, that's an ammo pouch or whatever. So now I can go in and pick out the different colors. What
that
needs
makes
to be
sense.
changed.
That's a good strategy. Yeah.
That's one thing I've learned of many years of painting small 15s, because I painted thousands of those things.
Yeah, these are my first ever, so I'm learning still.
Well, there was a time I had maybe 500 stands for this game.
Oh my gosh, you're doing your work twice, man. I haven't got time for that.
Nobody was playing the game. Everybody was giving up, and everybody that played the game system around me, it's like all died.
Yeah, I remember you said that. Yeah, I mean, I get that.
So I was like, I got nobody to play the game with anymore. So I decided to sell everything off. That's why I got rid of my Napoleonics, my ACW, and my 15 mil. Still got a few of the 15s.
Well, I used your 15. What, Normans or what were they?
Yeah, I still got all my stuff I use for fantasy and Dark Age. I got all
They were
that.
historical though.
Yeah. I'll just see what the heck this stuff is. I got a bag here. Oh yeah, this is American War of Independence. 15s.
15s. What's that from? Are they painted? I can't even see.
They're not painted.
Tiny.
They're still.
Oh, okay.
These are Old Glories.
Well, dang it, you're set.
Yeah, I still got a bunch of the things. I sold all the painted ones I have. This is just extra stuff that's sitting here that I've never got around to painting. Not much. It's probably about 3 packs worth. But
3 packs. There's like 48 guys in a pack, sir. That's a lot of painting, at least for this kid.
Like you can see, here's an old Grenadier.
Oh wow! Yeah, I see. Dang.
Yeah,
cool. Cute little bugger.
Yeah, he's a little buddy.
Little bitty dude.
As many for heck, I probably still got enough to still play some decent games with it.
Cool.
So, Tim, what have you been up to?
Well, gaming wise, my buddy Kurt and I, we got to play another game of Armada. I am really on that. I mean, I am so glad he's got all that stuff. I don't have to buy anything. I just show up, push together, and just start rolling dice and stuff. My goodness, it's a lot of fun.
We watched the new season of Andor dropped.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
And it was like watching that. We watched the first episode of it last night, and it was like, oh yeah,
yeah.
Now, I miss not having that stuff.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I would have been, if I had played it early when it was kind of fresh, I think that would have been a real major addiction.
Yeah.
With it. I think that would have been, I think I would have been like Star Wars crazy, because I would have been doing Armada. I'd have been doing Star Wars Legion. I would have been doing X-Wing.
I got still got a ton of X-Wing stuff. And I was buying every pack and every ship there was for X-Wing. And then they went to 2nd edition and we quit playing. And I did have the Armada game and a couple of the expansion packs that you could get with it, like the fighters and all the small like Corvettes and stuff like that.
Oh, sure.
And I tried to get everybody to play it, and no one's like, didn't want to. So I was like,
I-
I'm not
I
going to
thor- I
fight that.
thoroughly- And that thing about setting your orders up in advance for your ships, where you don't just get to do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. You got to kind of plan it out.
Yeah.
I love.
Yeah.
I swear. We
Pre-plot
this,
everything.
write this down, Rusty. We need to do a show about game mechanics, not the whole game system, but to pick out certain game mechanics that we would like to cannibalize and move somewhere else and stuff. You know, just little things, you know, that might give a
Yeah.
game that we play all the time maybe a little flavor or something. Just on that. But
Game mechanics
tonight,
you want to steal for a different game.
yeah, from one rule set and move it to the other. And something that wouldn't like change the entire game. It would just add flavor to it.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good topic.
Tonight I am working on, put down here.
I was wondering what you got going there. It looks like terrain.
Hold on. Yeah, it's terrain. It's the make me big, Rusty.
I'm working on it.
Making bigger.
Oh, I'm gonna have to move this camera. Sorry, guys.
Oh,
It's-
we're getting lost.
It's all good.
Okay, here we go. There we go. It's that stuff from Sarissa Precision.
Oh, cool.
It's for the Waterloo stuff, but you know, I got enough of it where I think it will be great for like hedges for 28 millimeter. It'll be
Yeah, it's pretty generic.
it'll
Yeah.
be ridiculous. It'll be whatever I need it to be. Think about this, Rusty. I want to ask you a question. Now this most of this is going to be covered. Well, there it is down here. Let me bring this back up. This is ridiculous. Okay, so this is like it's completed. So a lot of this edging is all going to be covered in like clump foliage and stuff like that, and then along with the tree, maybe something a little bit different. Would you undercoat this before
I
you
would.
put your
Yeah.
undercoat with? And I was thinking either undercoat it with like
Brown or green or something.
yeah, something like that, or maybe use my Vallejo ground effects, like the earth tone stuff.
Yeah, I'd probably just take a can of Krylon dark brown or something and spray it to just give something that's better to hear too.
Yeah. Okay.
And to
That
give you
was-
some where it's not cut, you know, if it's something's exposed, you got something showing underneath that makes sense.
Yes. Okay. That sounds wise. But yeah, I've got like this is, and what's really great about this is all just one packet. That's all just one
Wow.
packet. And I've still got 3 more of the larger ones like that to do, these larger ones.
Long
So
ones.
yeah,
That's a lot of terrain.
but I like having a lot of terrain on the board. I think it looks,
Oh, I agree.
I mean, especially when you're, you know, like you want to make something look very, especially at that scale, very clumpy, like
Yep.
full, yeah, you know, full bush, you know.
Yep.
Sorry.
Got to have lots of terrain.
You know, gotta have a lot of terrain on there. And yeah, I've got one more of these to do, plus I'm working on the roads now that I've got all the troops assembled and stuff. And
Oh,
I'm
nice,
also working on movement bases for them. Because the idea of playing a large enough game like that where I'm picking up each individual 20 by 60 millimeter
that's
base and moving it
mind-numbing.
around. No.
You're not a fan.
Not a fan. If I got my larger stuff on movement bases and stuff like that, you sure as shit they know I'm going to do it with the smaller stuff. I am not doing that.
Point taken.
Yep.
No, I'm
That's
glad
all
I
I've
have
been.
phone on silent.
You know, like I've been doing this stuff, working with my mom's stuff, trying to get that all straightened around. So my hobby stuff has been pretty put to the back burner, except
Sidebar,
for a
yeah.
few, where I can just um, just have time enough to put a few things together and not really paint anything. And that's, you know, this is probably the most time I've spent doing anything right now. While we're on the show. So,
Yeah, well, that's good.
but
No,
yeah, I think once I get it all fleshed out. Oh, and those buildings for this Waterloo stuff, they're really nice from Sarissa Precision.
Yeah,
I
I've seen some of that
I'm a
stuff.
big fan of them. I think two companies that have really expanded my gaming thing is the Little Big Man Studio stuff, the Shield transfers, and
Mhm.
banners stuff, and Sarissa Precision. I mean, other than the paints companies and stuff, those sort of support pieces
Yeah.
have really expanded the depth of my gaming and stuff.
That's
Just
cool.
because it just adds that extra little really quality layer that I personally couldn't do. I couldn't scratch build something that looks this good. My skill set doesn't lend to that. If it's not a box, I'm sorry. But
Yeah.
to make like a church or a big farm building and stuff, no, I
Mhm.
just not going to be something I could do. But the fact is that they come up with all this stuff is fantastic. I love
And
it.
it's
I think,
and it's super affordable, and then it's easy to ship too because it's flat and
yeah,
y- it's
and pretty
yeah.
simple to put together. Are we
Is that
burning
what
something?
that looks like? That's what Palmer's doing. I'll bet you.
That's
I
Palmer.
bet it is.
Palmer sent this, and he's like, "That's what he's up to. He's watching fire. Fire.
Oh, he made fire. That's man stuff.
Is he up in his
That's
cabin?
Yeah, he's at his cabin.
must be yeah. Oh, good for him.
So I had to share that.
Oh, that's funny.
And it took me a second trying to figure out how to do that. Like, what? How do I do this again? But well, I'm gonna go through and do a quick run through here. Let's see. Where was he? He says he's 3D sculpting. Imagine that. That's all you do is 3D sculpting.
That's awesome.
A lot of people I know keep them blue and red, maybe add a dot of color to show something like rifleman. Yeah.
Yeah, paint those little
Napoleonics.
epic ones. Yeah.
I have to say, Sword and Saki. Hey, welcome.
Hey,
Josh has entered the building. If I was going to get back into Napoleonics, it would probably be the epic Napoleonics.
I have no interest in doing it. I love watching it, and I love
Yeah.
looking at people's painted stuff, but I have no interest, excuse me, in doing it myself.
I just think of back all the years I spent painting Napoleonics and the different units and everything.
Yeah.
I would not do the different units anymore. They'd just be kind of generics. Like, all right.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't look right. But
yeah. When I got an order from Warlord, you know how they send you like an extra sprue or something?
yeah.
Yeah.
I got some late French in the greatcoats, like from 1812, like in the Russian campaign.
Yeah.
Now those, I look at those, I can paint those, because it's like a field dress, big old greatcoat, that kind of thing. I can paint those. But all those plumes, like the hussars and all that kind of stuff.
No.
Oh
no, not happening.
I can fully commend all those that can do that. It's amazing.
Oh man, it is gorgeous too. I love it.
Well, what's
It's
that?
a lot easier to
Liberator, what's that Liberator guy? Liberator 240 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love watching his channel, and
yes.
his Napoleonics are just. I mean,
They're
I think
gorgeous.
it's like 90% of what he does, and they are just Yeah.
Then there's
Wonderful.
what, basement 1808, I think it is.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
yeah.
sheer
Oh,
volume.
it-
Oh my God.
Just the sheer volume of his collection is just amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What was
I
the
do love
cause of your
watching.
divorce? He spent all of his time in the basement.
Well,
Yeah.
and his argument was, I was trying to prevent a divorce by staying away.
Yeah. That's the other strategy.
And Josh says, I hope to see you paint some Bretonians, Dan.
I'll tell you what, they are calling my name and they have been for some time. So it's definitely next on my list. I just I want to try to keep this project, at least get it to, a finished state that's playable. It's basically almost there already, but I would like to add a few more while I'm know my paint scheme. I've kind of got my system down. But yeah, the Bretonians are coming back next hard.
I need to break out the Bretonians I have, and they're all primed and ready to be painted.
Oh man, I can't wait to start painting some heraldry again. And oh man, I'm just get creative. Do the fan. The cool thing about that is it's historic fantasy, right? It's like
Yeah.
I'm painting knights, but I don't have to. It doesn't have to be period correct, and it doesn't have to be somebody's coat of arms. It's
Yeah.
whatever I want it to be. It's
You can just
based.
glom onto a coat of arms from many different French and English.
Yeah, I've got books with pictures of heraldry and all all over, and it's just whatever gives me like some inspiration, and then I make up my own, and then I like to think in my head of a story behind what that night is and what is. It's just I love that part. I get to be creative on the whole project, not just your paint scheme.
True.
And Minnie Warmutt joined us. Percy said, Krylon Camo Brown Rattle Can, hard to beat for a base layer on terrain.
Yeah.
And we're up to date. All right, so pretty much, if you watch my video that came out on Tuesday, my channel update, you'll see what I've been up to.
I was planting, so you're gonna have to give me a heads up on what you did.
Pretty
A recap.
much, recap was I did play a game of Riders Rohan versus Urukai with Saruman.
Cool.
King Theoden, Aeromir,
Theoden King.
Erwin, and Gamling rushed forth with their mounted hordes and charged into the ranks of the Urukai and got slaughtered.
Oh,
It's
what a
the
bummer.
worst thing of it is that the Urukai have special rule that they get a +1 when fighting men.
Oh, so that was just wrong.
Yeah. So whenever I smashed into them, I could, if I won the fight between the two models, I usually killed them.
Okay.
If I didn't win the fight,
You're in trouble. Yeah.
then my guy dies. They
Yeah.
pull him off his horse and chop him up for stew.
Oops.
Yeah, so you couldn't swing and miss.
Yeah. But, Theoden, Eomir, and basically all my heroes were... I killed all their captains, charged in and hit the captains, and with my captains and just diced them up.
Okay.
And I took out their berserkers with my guys. And one thing I learned is that how ungodly hard it was to, with the Riders Rohan, they all have a short bow basically. So as they're riding into battle, I was like,
Right.
shooting. I could hit them, but I couldn't even wound them.
Oh,
Because it's basically strength 2 weapon versus their armor value, and it's like I needed to roll. basically I needed 5s, I think it was, to hit, and then 6s to kill.
Yeah, so you need the good rolls that
Yeah.
just aren't going to
So-
come through consistently.
Roll a 6, then a number 6. Yeah, it's like, well, this ain't working.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Theoden had this special rule where if he's in range of the enemy for charge, so if he was within 10 or 12, I think it was, he had to automatically charge. So as soon as he got into range, the whole front line just goes.
Oh.
So he was marching forward slowly in shield wall, and I was like slowly marching forward on horseback, just unleashing volleys of arrows at everybody. And then when I finally got in close enough, we had spears, so we rushed in and threw spears at him as we charged in and tried. If you could kill somebody with a spear on the way in, and then I could make a different charge to a different model and get that charge to go smashing into him.
I gotcha.
And it really helped is that when you charged into him, you could knock him down because your horse would overpower him, knock him down, and then you could just get a bucket load of dice against him.
And then you had a good shot.
Yeah, it's like you'd roll, instead of rolling 2 dice, you'd roll 4 dice, and you needed a 5 or 6 on 4 dice to get a kill. So
Okay.
if you could get the win that little fight, and then you roll a bunch of dice, then they die. So, but if you didn't, they turn around. And
Then you're in trouble. Yeah.
And they had a whole bunch of Uruk-hai. There's like their army is like twice as big as mine. And
Yeah. So it's hard to get the numbers on them.
yeah, so they always had a supporting warrior behind him with this big old pike.
Mm-hmm.
So he had an extra die between that. So he was rolling like 3 dice to, try to win the conflict.
Yeah.
But yeah, it happened.
Did you have fun?
That was good.
That's the main thing.
I don't know. Did I show these last show? I had these done.
Let me see. Make you big. Oh, no, you did not share those.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Warriors of the Undead.
Nice. I
I
like
do like
those.
I like those. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
what I did with these was I dry brushed them with painted them like a gray, Ruthon gray, I think it was,
Okay.
is your base coat, and then I dry brushed them white over it, and then I went through and picked out all the leathers and stuff like that, the harness,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and put this is all contrast paint from Army Painter, the speed paint.
Oh, cool. Speed paints. Yeah.
So I went through it, and it's just like just painted everything really quick. When that dried, the stuff that wasn't, and I just put a wash of malignant green over it, because you look in the movie, everything was already kind of that greenish color.
Yep.
You see the
Yep.
colors of the warrior, but then you had kind of that green tint to them. And I just put a
Yeah.
wash of green over top
And I
of
give
it.
that tint to them.
So they got that. It was pretty easy.
Yeah. Well, it definitely works. I like it.
So
Cool.
I'm trying to convince Jesse to let me paint his armies of the undead.
How's that going?
Well, he wants to paint them with all of them. Oh, what the heck is that stuff called?
I thought you painted all of his stuff anyway.
I usually do, but he wants to do them this way because he likes it. It's Night Haunt Gloom.
Oh, yeah.
He has it on, and then he put Night Haunt Gloom on everything, which is kind of a bluish gray
Yeah.
on it, and then he put a dry brush over top of it, and so it's like monocolor, and he calls it good. So I was like,
That's fair.
no.
Or makes
need
you
to-
happy.
I told him that dry brush him with white, and then hit him at least with a second different color of green, which is the Hex Wraith green. This one.
Mm-hmm.
That would give you
Okay.
So at least have a two-tone green.
Yeah, that's true. That'd be better.
Yeah. But
We'll
He
see
does
how he
one.
does.
yeah. You can lead the horse to water, but I can't make him drink.
Sounds like you have a hard time keeping him painting too.
Yeah. So that's pretty much I've been working on. I have all the horses over here for the Writer's Row on. I've been painting that they're not on the table, but
Okay.
there's like 25 mounted warriors and then all the foot guys that go with them.
So how many points worth of battle have you been playing?
700.
700.
Yeah.
Where do you play?
We were playing up at Atlas Games. They opened back up.
Oh.
And then that night, as I was leaving, we had another storm roll in, and it rained all that night and over the weekend. We had like 3 inches of rain, I think, over the weekend.
God, we haven't ever had
And
that.
the place flooded again.
Oh my God.
They've been closed.
Oh, that's a bummer. What the heck?
They need a new roof.
Yeah, you could say that. Huh. That's disappointing.
So it's not about ground level water rushing in. It's about leaky roof.
Leaky roof.
Yeah. For small businesses, that is such a huge expense.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
that where, I mean, how do you cover that?
I don't think it's they own the building. I think they just rent the building, but
Oh man, I'd be pissed.
yeah, it's like I'd be telling the owners, like, you need to
No
Yeah.
rent for. Need 6 months free rent if we're gonna keep doing this.
that'd be
Seems
one of
like
those
they've
things. I
been
know it's going to rain. Everything I have would be covered under plastic every night,
Yeah.
just to keep it from getting water damaged.
They
They said when they
then you got
had-
to worry about mold and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, and then it just reeks and oh god.
Oh God, yeah.
They were saying that their Twilight Imperium games got one of them got wiped out.
Mm.
That's not a cheap box.
You got insurance for that, or it's one of those things you turn it in, it just costs your premium to go up.
Yeah, I think so. That's probably true.
Mm.
Yeah, you would think that they should be able to have some sort of recourse against the owners of the building if they keep having
One would-
material loss.
Hey, you can't stand that. Yeah.
I mean, that's it's incumbent on the owner of the building then to,
Yeah, that's like criminal. Yeah.
Yeah, and that
or
could be
at
a
least
happy
be
camper.
financially responsible somehow for your losses because you're not responsible for the roof. They are.
Yeah.
Suppose it
Oh.
depends whatever the agreement is or whatever the fine print says. But
Well, you know,
Well-
and you go, you know, the rent's cheap enough, you try to overlook some of that other stuff, but
right, that's what happens. Whether you've got a trailer home in a flood zone or whatever, you're taking your chances because you kind of have to.
rolling the dice.
Yeah, with a little choice sometimes.
Yeah,
That is true.
so very, very true.
Well, that's pretty much where we're sitting with that.
Oh, I guess should we get on to the topic?
Yeah, I guess we could. Our topic of the night is symmetrical versus asymmetrical gaming.
Hmm.
And I did add a subtopic to it, which is part of the same topic, is which systems work best with what.
Oh,
Yeah,
Throw
that
your
you're-
monkey wrench into the.
yeah. I didn't
It's
think
like-
much about.
I don't have that in my notes. He says.
I don't have that in my notes either. I'm like, whoops, I didn't finish my homework.
Uh-oh.
The dog ate mine.
Yeah. Can I have an extension?
Yes, you got 30 seconds. Make it so.
30 seconds. Well, I got to be honest. I'm not sure if I've played many asymmetrical games. just
Well,
about all the games I play are like basically points
Yeah.
match.
yeah.
You're the attacker or the defender maybe, but it's, you're definitely not like what I'm thinking of, at least, is asymmetrical, where the one side is very capable of crushing the other side, but the way you make that into a game is by how long you hold out, or then you switch sides and see if the other guy can outdo what you did, but you're going to ultimately lose.
Yeah.
Especially that would be a lot of times historical refights might be that.
Oh yeah.
But almost everything I play is literally points match.
Yeah, most
I'm
systems are points driven to make
Mhm.
everything uh, equal and,
balanced, yeah, and
balance.
then you line up 700 points or 1,000 or 1,200 or whatever, and you go to town. Each, then you got maybe different objectives or whatever. But as far as your force, you should, I guess it can be somewhat asymmetrical if you both have 2,000 points and one's an attacker against a well-defended position. You could say that, but that's not what I think of as asymmetrical, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I haven't played. I don't have the decades of gaming behind me like maybe you guys do. But for me, I think it's. I don't know. Of course I missed that. I think that episode where we talked about historical refights.
Yes,
Um,
you did.
I know that was I think that
Yeah.
was a
How dare
topic I
you?
came up with. I,
That was your topic, and you weren't here.
I know. Well, it was family. My daughter was coming home, so. But anyway, I always, I don't know. I guess just to dip slightly into that was that a lot of times think the point of historical refights to me personally is like you're not really doing it anyway, so why do that? Um, I see like, well, we're doing like the Normandy invasion. See, it's a beach setting, or you're in a French village, or whatever. So you're kind of setting the scene. But as far as, I mean, the terrain, and I look at that, I guess that's where I came up with that whole topic, was with Fire and Fury. All the scenarios in the book are historical refights, and
Yeah.
every stand equals so many guys, and they have the map drawn on a map, and you're supposed to set your table up like that, and that's very interesting to me. But at the same time, like Tim has said before too, is but you already know more than what the people during that period knew, and your morale is not what their morale was, and so you're not really doing a historical refight anyway. We're still rolling dice, and yes, maybe their reinforcements came in at 2 o'clock, but like, they're coming in at 2 o'clock. So what are you doing anyway? So for me, I prefer just to pick the setting of Gettysburg, and maybe you've got Seminary Ridge, and you can set it up like that, and you've got these are Hood's boys, and these are you get it so it's got the flavor, but then just have it be like this is essentially the setting, and then fight it in I don't know that I don't get into that. So then for me, I'm like, well, then let's make it where we both have even points, um, or basically an even chance to win. Either you breach their defenses or nearly, or they push you back, or or you got more kill points, or however you determine a winner is. For me, that's what I find most enjoyable, because you're not historically refighting the battle, no matter how the rule mechanics try to work, or how meticulous you model the table, or how much you try to be oblivious to knowing what actually the other guy has, even though you didn't know what he had, or when they or if they would turn up. So I guess that's kind of my beginning of that discussion.
Yeah. Jim?
Are you sure you want me to go?
Sure
Yeah, I
do.
know you like historical refights, so I'd like
I
to hear what
love
you say.
I love the whole idea of this topic. This is like
Yeah,
right in my
great.
mood.
I want to hear what you
Okay.
what you got going.
Well, we asymmetry is what we're talking about here.
Correct.
It kind of exists everywhere in life. All right. Life in general is not symmetrical. That's why beautiful people who have symmetrical facial features are considered the most beautiful in the world because symmetrical is the outlier of reality.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's less of it.
Yes, it's the rare thing, and it's most people are mutants like myself, and
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
well, when one mutant beholds another mutant, well,
Yeah.
I loved your eye. Don't you mean eyes?
I like how one of your eyes goes this way. Okay, now we're getting way off topic.
Right. Anyway, back to your point. Yes.
Let's bring it back. Okay. So in gaming, if we're going to talk asymmetrical gaming takes a little bit more thought than just you take 1,000, I take 1,000 points, and we go at it. And even in some game systems, if 1,000 points of one army compared to 1,000 points of another army is not necessarily symmetrical either.
Yeah.
There can be small variations in there that really sway it. That's why, like when they were trying to make the old world a competitive game, you always had these people coming up with comp systems to comp certain armies because they knew from the development that they were not symmetrical.
Right.
So that has to be taken into account, your rule system and how does it work? I mean, when you start adding like magic and heroes of varying skills and variety, you are already ventured into asymmetry right there in your gaming, and that really makes the balance kind of wonky. Now, if we take that part and say, okay, we just understand that that's never going to be balanced,
Yeah.
and so we're just going to play. It's more thematic than what a historical gaming, because a human is a human, and there can be certain skill levels of command and that sort of thing, or maybe some sort of technical advantage.
Correct.
You don't have the superhuman power of heroes destroying the symmetry of the game. The symmetry is disbalanced by your knowledge of an encounter, the way things kind of operated at the time. Could be firepower against numbers, One I like, a really great example of asymmetrical wargaming is Custer's Last Stand.
Right.
That's a great way of looking. It's a great example of looking at asymmetrical wargaming. You had one force that actually you would think had the firepower advantage, but in reality, the U.S. cavalry was at a firepower disadvantage during that encounter because they had that stupid single shot rifle. What was that? What was the? It was a 45-70, but it was the one had that breech that opened up at the top, and
And once the cartridge started heating up and the barrel heated up from shooting too much, then the cartridge would stick.
Yep.
And the only way to get it out.
A lot of the American Indians that they encountered had Spencer repeaters and 6-shooters, and
I don't know why they just didn't call a timeout.
Timeout, yeah. Well, this is not working. We got to leave. We'll come back later. No, but it's a great example of what could be done in an asymmetrical game where you have maybe force and organizational advantages compared to numbers and firepower.
Yeah, but
You have a
ultimately,
lot of firepower, but then you have like disorganization where things are not operating like a well-oiled machine, where the well-oiled machine has less firepower, but they're able to maneuver, and follow commands much simpler.
Mhm.
Again, like with what you were saying earlier, Dan, we're not really doing. We can never really do the historical what refights and stuff like that. What did Wellington say? That war games uh, are compared to the goings on of like at a ball or something. He had very little um, uh,
Oh, yeah.
uh, to say good about wargaming and that sort of thing. That sort of discussion.
Mhm.
Because he understood that none of that matters when the bullet starts flying.
Yeah, it's all off. Yeah, hopefully you're training, but that's it.
Yeah. Um, so if we get into asymmetrical wargaming, we have to make it like, oh, like you were saying, how long can we hold out? Can I do enough victory points to my opponent before I get squashed? Can I hold this mountain pass for so many turns to affect a campaign?
Yeah.
Asymmetrical gaming works really well in those sort of
Scenarios.
don't have to win, you just have to do something. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And that doing something is it's not your victory points victory per se, but it's your strategic victory by whatever their sacrifice was. Like Thermopylae with the Spartans and their allies, getting slobber knocked eventually, but their sacrifice and the time that they held up the Persians gave the rest of now obviously Athens still got burned to the ground, but the people were able to escape. The actual life force of the city was able to move, and then
Right.
after the Persians left, they were able to return, rebuild, and then eventually uh, kick the Persians out of Greece. So asymmetrical gaming is it's just one of those things I feel like you need to think about it a little bit. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to put 250 down, you bring your 1,000, and let's just see what happens. That could work like if you got Space Marines, I bring
Yeah.
like in the yeah, we can go like with what's in a novel, like when you read some of those novels, you had like a Space Marines would be like five guys would drop down and they kill thousands of the enemy. You know what I mean? Because they're
Yeah.
7 foot tall, armored, encased psychopaths.
Impregnable armor with the
Yeah.
Yeah.
archaic weapons they're facing.
Yes. Uh, so that could be asymmetry in the opposite direction, where
Mhm.
even though you have massive numbers,
But mightn't that still be a points balanced game though? Like the Space Marine's worth 100 apiece and the other guys are worth 10. Is that,
uh,
I mean, essentially that?
well,
I mean, you could
that's what I'm saying. You have to do your kind of the
yeah,
math to
to
make
make it
it.
work.
Yeah,
So it's
because if you
asymmetrical in numbers is what you're saying, yeah.
yeah, it's if we're just doing 1,000 with 1,000, then even that can be asymmetrical because like a lot of games, army lists are not balanced.
Well,
They're
yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I can bring 1,000 points of gobos against 1,000 points of chaos warriors, and well, you know,
no, and it's true in any points game. It's
mhm,
it's always to the best of their ability because even in bolt action, there's stuff that is like, well, that's definitely overpriced and that's underpriced, and people figure it out through the
mhm.
meta, and
Oh,
then yeah,
Yeah.
even though it's supposed to be.
And
Well,
then,
go ahead.
well, you can
Well,
have where they're like games that are objective based that
mhm.
are even though it's skewed tremendously to one side, if you are able to manage some sort of an objective, like the great one of the fun ways of doing asymmetrical is with ambushes,
Oh,
where
sure.
you have a force that's not nearly capable of defeating straight up the force that you're ambushing. You're just
Hmm.
hoping to destroy this piece of equipment so it cannot be used later on. Again, that sort of asymmetry plays really well into a campaign system where it's not so I lose it, but yet I've done something good for the long term. I take
Right.
out their siege equipment, so now that they're at a disadvantage in laying siege to a castle or something, that sort
Sure.
of thing.
Yep.
Or you destroy their food or their water supplies and all that kind of things that you can employ in
Hmm.
asymmetrical gaming to make the force that is so numerically at a disadvantage have a capability of doing something worthwhile and making the game have a meaning to itself other
Yeah.
than I killed more of your guys than you killed of mine.
Right.
You know,
Well,
that
yeah, and
that
it
can get
make
kind
it.
of old,
Yeah,
just
that can get old. You're right.
but
Yeah. Fair.
and then like I said, in a lot of when I do things like this, I always like to look at historical examples of what happened and then try to work those things into the game itself without destroying the rule system that we're using. Try to work within the
Hmm.
framework of the system that you're using too. That can have a lot to do with how well your asymmetrical gaming is turning out. Some systems probably don't work well with that.
Hmm.
I'm not sure. I mean, I mean, like the old world was always asymmetrical. I mean, no matter what,
Yeah.
there was always never quite the kind of balance that they were. I don't even think they were looking for balance. That was never designed to be a competitive game and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
I think
Not at least.
a lot of games that are designed for competition, you have to take a lot of the creativity out,
Yep.
the thematic sort of storylines you kind of take out, because you have to be careful about, you know, in some game systems, you get this unit gets a plus to this, and if they got this character in there, they get a plus to that, and then all that stuff, then that can all just throw your balance in gaming just so out of whack. Even
Mm.
though they have the same ability to add stuff, it can just be very, very complex to try to find a balance between two forces, unless you bring exactly the same stuff.
Well, and then the trick can be too, add in the fact of, I mean, I have gamed enough, at least miniature gaming, to know how you set the table up. It's like huge. Even if you both do 1,000 points, and you even try to make the battlefield kind of a mirror. Why I have a woods on this side, and you have a woods on that side, and it's still like sometimes it comes down to exactly how many inches and how big it is because or like in bolt action, if you've got a place to put a sniper and the other guy doesn't, or you've got room to maneuver your tank up into a decent position and they don't. I mean, that's huge. So it's hard. It's never quite symmetrical anyway. But
Right.
I like the little challenges. I mean, I don't ever build a table that's a mirror image anyway because that's the fun thing. like to know that I have a good chance of winning. But like you said, winning can be determined by lots of different criteria.
Right.
But
And
I
like,
like the challenges.
yeah. And that's why I think, when you're going to look into stuff like that,
Yeah,
it takes a little bit more thought,
correct.
asymmetrical game, because you really have to think about the two players. You're creating this thing, and if your sole idea is just victory in and of itself,
Yeah.
I think that you miss so much of wargaming,
Oh,
because
yes.
it's about, like what you say with your terrain, like your Stalingrad table. I mean, to play on it and to put the forces down and to be part of this creative thing, but yet you have to say, okay, I know this looks like a complete disadvantage for you. So for you to have, let's say, a chance to win, you don't
Mhm.
have to do the same things I have to do.
Right.
I mean, I think that's one of the hallmarks of asymmetrical gaming, that you can't
Yeah,
have an
that's fair.
asymmetrical game without a separate sort of victory conditions and that sort of thing. Um,
Yeah.
Exactly.
I thoroughly love it, as long as the research, the preparation, let's say, not a bunch of research, but prep. You kind of understand what it is the two of you want to accomplish in this scenario. Um,
Yeah.
It's like if
it,
you're sitting with half a force, they got, let's say, 1,500 points and you got 700 or 800 points, and your job is a rear guard action. You don't necessarily need all the same points because your
right,
mission objective is totally different. My job
absolutely,
is to slow the other side down as I slowly retreat back and to allow my force that's behind me the opportunity to dig in and prepare for the oncoming force.
yep,
So you got to look at, that's why, like historical games, that's where they're missing a lot of stuff in a lot of these historical games, is not giving them missions to represent what actually did happen in reality.
right,
There was no really, if you're going into war with a symmetrical force, you're guaranteeing yourself loss.
yeah. Oh yeah,
And sure,
it's
there's many
all
battles that did happen. They didn't realize it was, oh, we're attacking, and oh, we thought we were attacking with overwhelming force
Yeah.
when actually we were not,
yeah,
or we did have an overwhelming force like we thought we were supposed to have it.
yeah,
So
Yes.
yeah. I agree. It's something that you just need to dig a little work into it. Think about what you're trying to achieve. That rear guard action is a wonderful example of you know, say you start at one end of your, say you have a 4x8 table and you're playing end to end instead of side to side,
yeah,
and so the rear guard has that chance of having space to move and fire and to slow down the advance. And if they don't get it done, then these things happen and it carries on over into something else. And it's a
which affects
beautiful
the
way.
oncoming battle. Yeah,
It's a beautiful way to game. I know a lot of people don't have time to go from like we'll do that this week and then maybe next I can't play for another month or something,
and
um,
have the space to leave it set up.
and leave it set up, or at least
Yeah,
have
but
it. The
some
one great thing about
continuity.
cell phones and having video on our cameras all the time, not like in the old days where you just, there was no way to record everything, like on a, you'd have to do it on like a graph
Paper.
paper and stuff. you
Yeah, I
know
remember. Yeah.
Oh yeah, trying to do stuff like that. But now you just take pictures of it and just kind of take some measurements on the side and you're good to go. But having a game, just say if you get the game done, you don't even have to let it drag on and just say, well, we just move on to this next table next week, and that table is set up this way. But
Mhm.
this action here occurs within this framework of terrain. And then we just move on to a new game the next time we get to play. Just takes a little bookkeeping, little note taking is all. But yeah, that rear guard actions, scouting actions, reconnaissance and force that run up against a much bigger force than what they thought they were running up against, um, ambushes, all those sort of things where a smaller force is trying to achieve a goal, not of total destruction of the enemy, but of something very specific. It's I don't know. I love that. I love that kind of gaming, especially when it is connected to a larger campaign. It
Yeah,
really gives
exactly.
it some flavor. It really gives it some flavor. Um, let me look at my notes here. What else? Oh, something else. We touched on it. Um, I was thinking about how
Good evening, Matthew.
oh, hey, what's up, Matthew? Um,
Yeah, Matthew.
can't be based on skill and training as opposed to just sheer numbers. And what I was thinking about were the conquistadors in South America.
Oh yeah.
That's a great way of, even though they did have allies from the local indigenous people to help offset the numbers. The main thing was their firepower, their armor. It was almost like the numerical force was at the disadvantage, both
Oh yeah.
psychologically and materially. Um, so the asymmetry does not have to necessarily be based upon numbers. Well, I was watching a video today. They were talking about this guy had done an interview with one of those Wagner guys, and they had faced there was like 500 of them, and they faced off against like 40 U.S. Special Forces, and
Oh yeah, in Syria.
and I'm sure it didn't go very well for the Wagner group.
Yeah, the
I'm sure
Wagner
they
group
got
got slaughtered.
slaughtered, and that's asymmetry in a completely different way, where they had the numbers, didn't have the firepower, the skill, the training, the size of their balls. I don't know. It's just asymmetry it doesn't necessarily have to be based on one side having more numbers is the one that's the bully. It could be the one with the smaller numbers is the bully. They've got
Yeah.
all.
They know how to bully.
Yes, they have all the skill, all the better toys to bring to bear in the encounter. And that's an interesting way to look at it. Okay. um, like in the Sudan and stuff with the British forces in the late 1800s, when they were facing tremendous numbers. And even
Sometimes
like
5-10 to 1.
even in the East India Company in India, when the British were fighting the local leaders and stuff there, that they were massively outnumbered at times. But because they had firepower, they had discipline, they had cannons, and these guys were still wearing body armor and riding war elephants and having cavalry charges that just got decimated. And a 12-pound cannon will do a number on an elephant.
Through one
A
side
Yeah.
and out the other.
12-pounder Napoleon cannon will do a number on an elephant. And that's so where does the power lie in that asymmetrical gaming is another consideration that you got to take into. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot to be said for asymmetrical wargaming. It's so flavorful. It's very satisfying in the long run.
I just think
Yeah.
in some of the like campaigns, let's say BattleTech, for example,
Mhm.
like our mercenary games, where I'll be playing the Op 4, and sometimes it's like, okay, I may have 25% more force in my Op 4 numbers,
Mhm.
but you set the scenario up so they're not concentrated in one gulp. You know, it's like
Yep.
some are coming over here, some are coming over here, some are over there. So, yeah, they may have a lot more, but they're not concentrated firepower. So, if a good player can feed on one group and finish off that group before moving on to the next one, can cause any issues for them. You know, if you got a
Defeating
good
them in
player,
detail. Yep.
yeah, divide and conquer.
You got it.
So it's like I'll be playing the Op 4 myself. So I was like, okay, I set the scenario up and to see if they take advantage of the situation that I find myself in.
Mhm.
And then I'll try my best to try to win. But if they work at it fairly decently, they can end up having an advantage.
Right.
But then it goes the opposite direction too. It's like you go into a game where, oh, you guys decide what you're bringing in, and it's like, okay, I'll have similar. It's like BattleTech's basically based on similar numbers, but you set the scenario up. And it's like, okay, randomly see what comes in at what time. So you may have a defensive force, something may be coming in reserve out of subsequent turns. So you don't still, you may be equal forces, but you may not get them all at once. So a lot of times people don't realize that you can set up games to be asymmetrical, even though they are symmetrically balanced by points.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And you have to be able to have a player that's more than willing to say, I don't mind playing at a disadvantage.
That's where the discussion comes in of going this where you kind of have a war meeting. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to set it up. These are our objectives. Most of us
Yeah, you
have
have to
good.
be on the same page. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where you have to be kind of careful about who you invite into that sort of game, because there are some people that they cannot play a game where they cannot have absolute resolution of victory or defeat in it. It has to be one thing or the other, and they don't. And to them, it's almost like, why would you play a game in which you know that you're going to be beaten points wise, the way they define victory and defeat? Why would you play a game like that? Well, it's because it bleeds off into something else. It's connected. That's why I like skirmish games. This is where I've always had a thing about people who say, I just like skirmish games, or I just like big battle games. To me, they're all inclusive in this whole thing. You can, and all of it can be connected. You know, we play skirmish games that move into more of an asymmetrical fight, and then it moves into a big battle. You don't have to just say, I'll just play skirmish and that's all I like. You know, it.
Right.
I think you're
work
depriving.
Make it work hand in hand
Yes.
with each other. That one feeds the other.
Yes.
And you may have a large battle, but if you want to play a large battle, what's happening on the flanks? You see so many Napoleonic games, or even ACW, or 7 Years War, for that matter. There's a lot of battles that happened that are sub battles of the big battle. You always hear about the big battle, but
Right.
there's always something else happening on the flanks or that leads up to that battle.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh,
there's
almost like all those units of dragoons and stuff. They didn't just exist for the day of the battle. They were out doing missions all the time.
Yeah.
They were. A matter of fact, a really great way for Napoleonics is I've been reading a lot about Spain and Portugal, Wesley's campaigns there. Oh my goodness, the variety of encounters that you could have in the small scale leading up to a larger scale encounter. Oh, with the guerrillas and the civilian population of Portugal and Spain and the oh, just endless, endless, and all be connected into some larger game. And it's like what I think would be wonderful is like, okay, say you guys got guys that we love to play the small scale skirmish games. Great, you're on our side. This guy's on their side. You guys play it out. Yes, I'm hearing the sharp theme now. Yes, yes,
Yep.
yes, yes. Yep, they're reading my mind.
I just think of you look at the Civil War where Union and Confederate cavalry were actually the ones that did so much work for those armies that
Yes,
you never really hear about. The number of skirmishes that they were have trying to find out where the main force was, what they're up to. And so you had the cavalry units were always going at it each other, always having a skirmish here or there. And, you know, like leading up to Gettysburg, I think we hearkened on this last time where the Confederate forces were rampaging everywhere and there were really nowhere. They got lost in
Yep.
the grand scheme of things. So the Lee, chastised
Yeah, Stuart.
Stuart.
Yep.
You left me
Left me
blind.
blind.
You were out
Yeah.
there gallivanting around, having a gay old time, and I didn't know what's going on.
Well,
Yep.
I watched one of those that Kings and Generals channel. I love
Yeah.
that channel, and they were
Yeah.
talking about that and how uh, he's again. It was about miscommunication of orders, misunderstanding, and by the time he was trying to get back to Lee, he was already cut off by the Union forces, and he was kind of stuck doing what he wound up doing. It wasn't like I'm just going to stay out here and do my thing. It was like he tried to get back, he was blocked, so he had to take this circumvented route around, and while doing that he collected all these supplies and stuff, which slowed him down anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a wonderful bit of gaming that could happen along those lines, between small forces of Confederate and Union cavalry and stuff. It just, again, I just think the options are just endless that way.
I just think of a campaign game where you got, say, somebody like Stewart who's has his little trail of goodies that he's trying to get back to the main line, and suddenly finds himself, oh, that looks like an open spot. Let's go right through there, and then you got a brigade or two suddenly just closes off the exit and go, oh, we got to fight our way out of this type of thing. Yeah, we got speed because we're on horseback, but still, you got to fight a minor battle just to get out of the circumstances you put yourself into.
Yeah, and then how much of the supplies does he lose in the process of trying to not get involved in a battle he can't win anyway. And see, all those sort of things can play into that asymmetrical wargaming where, okay, sure, he's going to lose a bunch, but maybe one of his victory goals is how much does he get away with?
Yeah.
As opposed to how many Union troops he takes out,
Or you have the rear, it's like the Union cavalry gets in behind the Confederate forces and they're getting close to the wagon trains of supplies. So, you have the rear guard has got to fight a minor battle just to protect the resources.
You got it.
So, how many times did that ever happen? Especially later in the war with when the Union actually started having more cavalry to do such things.
Yeah, and their cavalry finally got experience and was properly led.
Yes,
and
that was a big
things. That was a big thing.
And you see more of it actually in the Western campaigns, like when Sherman and his activities, how much of that was done because of the Union cavalry actually had enough numbers to actually
make a difference in the campaign. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So when it comes to there's nothing wrong with having an asymmetrical battle. I was just thinking the other night when I was playing last Thursday when I played it was a 700 points on the side, but it felt very asymmetrical. It's like, my entire force of Rohan was on horseback. So I had 18 models versus their 30 something because they're all on foot.
Right.
So they can have basically 2 to 1 for every model I had. Yeah, so they could take casualties, but they still had the capability of taking me out. So if you're willing to lose a model for every one of theirs, that's a fair trade.
In that game, do the horses add anything to the combat?
No, all it really does is give you speed,
mobility, and
you do have the option instead of attacking, you can knock down your opponent, but that can come into play if 2 models are attacking the same one. One goes in, knocks it down, the other one gives it a better shot of throwing more dice at it to
damage. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
cool.
You have that, but you got to have enough models to be able.
And then don't you get an elevation advantage? You can shoot over models or something, or.
Well, I tried to shoot horse bows but it's like you can't shoot through other models, especially your own.
Oh.
So you got to pick whatever in the front rank. You basically pick your targets. So it's like there were times I was throwing 5 dice at a berserker trying to take him out. And then finally do some wounds, but they have the special rule. So if they roll a 6, they ignore the wounds. It's like that in the movie where they had the one berserker taking the torch, running towards the wall.
Yeah, to blow it up.
And then he's getting pinpricked full of arrows. Take him down. I go, basically I did the same thing to the berserkers on my way in. I was shooting the heck out of them, but hey, I finally did a wound, and he rolls a 6. Crud.
Just kidding.
Yeah, he ignored it. He's too high on mushroom juice to worry about it.
Yeah, mushroom juice.
It's an interesting way. It's like I always say is if you can do it and you have the opportunity and you want to have some fun, be more than willing to take a chance on changing up how you play your games.
Yep.
And you have to have the mindset of going in that I may be at a disadvantage, and how to play better and think better to try to change it around.
Yeah. How to achieve my objectives as opposed to just the
Kill all
straight
type
up,
thing.
just the brawl sort of an idea.
Yeah.
And absolutely. Yeah. All right. I know one thing. I'm glad I got a lot of clump foliage because I'm going to have a lot of it. I got a whole lot.
That laser cut stuff.
Yeah.
So you got that nice burnt wood smell going on.
Oh, that is delicious.
I kind of like that smell. I don't know why, but I do.
Yeah, it's like the last time I did all these buildings. If you can see them. Bring it up here. Up there, you see them. Right there.
Oh, yep. A
whole bunch of laser cut buildings. When I opened up those containers and started taking it all apart, and I was like, wow, it smells like burnt wood. And my wife was like, what is that smell? And I'm working on terrain. Like, ew.
You wouldn't understand, dear.
I don't think I have any MDF terrain, actually.
Well, there was a time that was the cheapest route to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with 3D printing and really the numbers of people out there that provide that service, or you can do it yourself. I mean, for a file
now, all the 3D printed buildings I have, I can play Lord of the Rings. I can play Bolt Action, 40K. It's I got all kinds of systems now. I can play with it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I just need to find some more different, more Western style buildings that are like brick and mortar to add some of those to the mix too.
Mm-hmm. That's doable.
Because there's plenty of like brick and mortar type of buildings in the fantasy too.
Oh, okay.
Bricks have been. You look at ancient times. What was a lot of buildings were made out of brick. So just mud and straw put together and dried out.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
And they learned how to bake it. Well, we are sitting at the 2-hour mark.
I just finished.
Oh,
really? You just got done.
Really?
I got these last 4 guys all highlighted up, and I'm ready to base the cavalry then the next day or two.
So are you done with all your current stuff then?
Well, no. That's all the mounted cavalry that came in the starter army is painted.
Oh, okay.
Which is 2, 4, 6, 16 models, and then
or is that stands or models?
Models, 8 stands, and then that's all it comes in starter army, and then you get 24 foot. I believe it's 24 foot cavalry, but the way Fire and Fury, it's 2 per stand, and the stands. I only need to paint 12 of them to do what they send for mounted. I've got those primed. I paint those up, then I'm onto the horse holders. Shoot, I'm getting there.
Yeah,
and I just need more. I must have more.
I think all I need to do when they get around to ACW again on sale, and I think their summer sale correspond together.
Just about always.
I will probably get 4 more. I probably get a pack of the horse holders. I want to get a pack of artillery, and probably 2 or 3 more packs of marching infantry.
Okay.
Or maybe even more cavalry. So
I've got 3 more packs that I bought besides the starter army of foot infantry, and that's what I need to bulk. That's what I don't have enough of. Everything else I've got adequate amounts to start with.
Yeah.
And then casualty markers, I'm going to paint those for something fun. which is ACW 37.
Yep.
Because they're used for some disruption, or I forget what they call it, disorder, something. And I think you only need one. You're either are or you aren't, I think. So I think I only need, chances are every single regiment wouldn't be whatever, but I'll just paint that many, 8 or 12 or whatever.
Yeah. I think when we played last, we just made little tokens.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. These were just too cool to pass up. I mean, a bunch of sculpted metal dead bodies that I'll put on like 3/4 inch washers, and
what the heck are they?
they'll look cool as heck.
I have some. It's like when I had my paint rack that I made.
Yeah.
It had all these laser cut portions that you just had to punch out.
Oh, all this wasted. Yeah.
So I kept them, and
that's cool. Smart.
So, like the casualty markers, you just put a few guys on a casualty marker on one of those.
Yep. There you go.
That's
you're done.
Your token.
Yep. Yep.
So that's something you're thinking about doing too.
Yeah, really, they're cool looking little dudes. They're getting a kick out of it, but like I said, Bretonians are whispering in my ear. Must paint fantasy nights. But
yeah, since I've done with these, how many I got? 60 stands sitting on the table right now. As soon as I've done painting them, I'm going to move on to the Rohan models, get those painted up, get them out of the way. And then I'll probably move on to more ACW because I want to get all my current stuff that's all put together.
Yeah.
I have all my Union stuff is all primed, base and primed. So I just need to get around and finish it all out.
Yeah. Well, good.
I still
have a massive army.
Yeah, I got 70 stands that are just based and primed, waiting yet in the wings.
That counting your command stands or just infantry stands?
That's just infantry stands.
Yeah, okay. I'll have to catch up with you.
Man.
Dude, I'm gonna start working some overtime on that.
I've only got about something this summer.
Yeah, that's what I definitely like to get enough so that we can, get a game in this summer. I wouldn't mind doing that, and I wouldn't mind getting a game of Old World in again, just because I've got that, and if I get going, get the Bretonian thing going again, I can add a few more things. But I've got plenty to do a nice, what we did. So, and you got stuff already, Tomb Kings or whatever. So.
Yeah, I have a large Tomb Kings army. I got vampire counts. I have dwarves, elves, or high elves.
You got a lot of choices.
Empire, chaos, warriors. Let's see, my orcs and goblins. I got a massive orcs and goblin army. So.
Let's see what we can work out. Something in between the fair and any other things we got going on, but that's like the first 2 weeks of August or something ish.
Let's see. It starts, I think,
somewhere. I used to go years ago, but it's been a hot minute.
Look at the calendar. But, May, June, July, August 7th. August 7th, the fair starts, and it goes till the 17th, I think.
Yeah, okay. I forgot it doesn't start the first. Yeah, it's first weekend or something like that.
Yeah, it's always this first Thursday, I think it is.
Yeah, yep. Okay, yep, it's on my list of things I definitely want to get done, because that'll be fun to get these guys on the table and try to get the system Fire and Fury figured out. So that'll be good. And you played Fire and Fury, right, Rusty?
Yeah, I played it way back in the day in the first edition, and Mel and I we did a few games last year.
That's what I thought. So you got a little bit of. It's one thing just to read the rules. It's another thing to start moving some pieces around, and they start to
Yeah,
click a
we
little
spent a
bit.
lot of time with the rule book open, and
Yep.
first game was just going through, and it's like, all right, what's the what happens if you're doing this?
Yeah. How do
This is
you
how you do
attach
this.
a leader, and how do you? Yeah. All the little things. But there's not a lot of rules there. It's not terribly complex. It's not that thick of a book, and there's a bunch of scenarios and
Yeah,
other stuff, that's not rules. So it can't be that hard. And then I would love to get another game of Old World into because that was fun. And at some point, someday, I'd still like to go back and play a 5th edition game because I've got everything I need for that. I've got the cards and the magic cards and basically my army's built for 5th edition because that was my original goal. So that'd be fun.
yeah. I think about 4th and 5th edition. It was a lot of playing chaos, armies of chaos, and armies of the undead.
Okay. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of balance back in those editions, but like Tim said too, it's when you start making the games, trying to make them competitive tournament type games where you got to throw a lot of that flavor and stuff out. But games between friends, it works really well. I mean, you know what you're going in for, and you know kind of how each other plays, and it's just the miniature gaming in particular, more than board gaming or card gaming. You need to both be in it together, and you both have to have sort of the same goals, what you're going to get out of it, and it almost always has to be not entirely about winning, but about the journey, and that's what I find it so much fun. It's almost you're playing against each other cooperatively. That's how I would describe it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good way. It's like cooperative competition.
Yes.
Yeah, the way I look at it is like I was never like big into terrain and having all the stuff and all that. I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to throw stuff on the table, and at one point in time, I didn't care if it was painted. Let's roll some dice and just go at it.
Mm-hmm.
And the longer I've gamed, the more I look at it as like it's more like an artistic pursuit, and
Yes.
that includes the actual rolling of the dice and the gaming itself.
Mm-hmm.
I love watching like battle reports where you know that guy has taken time to create this table,
Yes.
this landscape, whatever it is, and it may be beautiful and just
Mm-hmm.
detailed, and then you have miniatures on top, and it, it its roots just come up through the game
It's a
and make
living
it into
thing.
this event that you're doing. It's not
It is
just
art. It is art,
it
really.
is
Just
it
the whole
is
Yeah.
art.
experience. It's performance art. It's physical art. It's yeah.
Yeah,
You're
Like
throwing
and then
together
at the
together a
very
narrative.
end, at the very end, you have the who wins and who loses.
yes,
Because
that's like
when
the footnotes.
when at the beginning, when I was a young man, well, I wouldn't say a young man. I started late into gaming. I was damn near 30 before I started ever gaming anything seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at that point in time, and the people that I had around, we were all very
Very competitive, very
competitive
guy.
and just
Yeah,
very very testosterone
yeah,
driven.
very
I'm going,
guy-y, I always
you
call it.
know, I mean, to the point where we could stare off at each other across the table and like, just
Yeah,
dumb.
yeah,
But as we mellowed, and some of those people went off because they couldn't win every time. Um,
right.
my own personal change is when I began to really start to paint. When I really said, you know what, instead of just slapping on a few colors and not really paint, how about let's try to do a good job. and it took
Mhm.
time for me.
Mhm.
I'm not a natural artist. I have really no artistic talent whatsoever. I mean, I I have no athletic talent. I have no artistic talent. I
Well,
have
your
no
painting
music,
says otherwise. You have talent.
but it took time. It
Yeah, but you
wasn't
developed
something
it. It's still a
Journeyman's
talent.
level of talent.
Yeah.
I would, like I never started off like in high school being able to draw.
Yeah. Not a
My younger
natural.
brother could draw and do all that kind of, and I had none of
Yeah,
it.
I know what you mean.
I
Yeah.
was a knucklehead, you know. Um, a knucklehead jock is what I was. That's just kind of what I was. But when I got into this, and it was a slow progress, but now at this point in time, it is that artistic creation from
hmm
the terrain through up, through the models and everything. Because
And
to
then the
me, it was like
story and yeah.
that's one of the things I like about Star Wars Armada is you don't have to worry about the painting of the models and the miniatures and stuff, but it is immersive in a way.
hmm
And I do like the mechanics and all that kind of stuff.
hmm
It's really intriguing. I'm kind of glad I missed that because boy, that would have been a rabbit hole I would have run
Never
down.
gotten out of, yeah.
I would have, oh, it would have been horrible. It would have been horrible. Buddy, it would have been bad. That addiction would have done me in. There'd have been Star Wars all over this house. I mean, it would have just there would have I would have went
All
out and got that great big Star Destroyer. I mean, it would have been, the big
You'd have like
2 foot
three
thing.
of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I would be like, yeah, yeah. I don't know
You
that.
had
I'm
fun
I'm
with it.
just kind of glad I get to dabble with it and just appreciate it for what it is,
Yeah.
and not have to worry about my own addiction to it.
Yeah.
I
That's
have
fair.
enough addictions of my own. Yeah,
Well, I guess on that note,
Yeah.
yeah,
Better shut her down.
considering that it's about 12:30 for you.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
12:30 for me.
All right,
I'm
so
gonna
in
turn-
about 2 weeks, I'm not sure exactly what date that is. In 2 weeks,
2 weeks. Today's the 24th. So it's be the first is 1 week. And the 8th is the next is Thursday, 2 weeks from today. 8th of
Oh.
May.
Okay, so that's when we'll have the show with Palmer hosting.
Think he'll show up or is he too busy?
We'll find out. I may be the host, or maybe have one of you guys host it then. Oh no!
Oh yeah, there you go, Dan. You're up.
If it doesn't quit raining, I'll still be planting for sure.
Oh yeah.
We'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
All right.
Palmer will be back anyway. That was a fun night.
I enjoyed that.
Thanks, guys.
We're back up to 3 people watching the show. So
Got me back into I haven't painted for a little bit here, so that was nice, and I got something done.
that's the
I
important
was
thing.
look at all this stuff. I mean, oops.
Holy,
That's just,
Oh God, it's acres.
looks like a
of
bunch of
stuff.
sausages laying there.
yeah.
Beef sticks or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I got all that put together, and so next thing will be to actually prime it and get some clump foliage on it and make it like I
Make
got
it
some
pretty.
fall. I got some fall themed of that from Woodland Scenics.
Yep, that phone. Yeah,
I think I might make some of them fall foliage and stuff too.
why
But
not?
I did do that with some of my Successor Kingdoms army. I used some of that on the bases to give it like a lot of color.
Yeah,
I might do
That's
that
cool.
with some of these. Just something different.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right, so I guess we'll end it right here. So we'll see
Yeah.
you guys in 2
2
weeks.
weeks.
2
Thanks
weeks.
to everybody that joined us too.
Yeah, it's like we had Matthew say goodnight.
Yeah. Good night, Matthew.
See that?
Percy and Chris and Josh was here. some point. So
I think we had like 7 or 8 people watching at one time. So
yeah, that's cool.
we had a few. All right. So we'll go see everybody in a couple. And good night, everyone.
Yeah. Good night,
See ya,
everybody.
buddy.
Night.